people don't really realize like how hard it is to make money, dude. Like it's tough. People don't, like, I had my company, I was making a few million a year, and my net worth though, besides the company, forget the company, just like in the bank, you know, to accumulate $1 million in the bank is a lot, dude. You know what? How many things have to go your way to get there, dude? You know, and a lot of people are sitting there, you know, working their W-2 job, and they're married now in the suburbs, and you know, between the two of them, they're making, you know, 180 grand or something, and they kept the condo that they owned in Bucktown because, you know, now they got married and moved to the city, and they rent that out. Well, dude, that's fine, man, but you're not going to get rich off that.
Part 2 with the man who can dance and has class. Tell him what's up, Matt.
Hey, John, got any more of those pumpkins? The champ and I are a little hungry over here. We want to make some pumpkin pie. Subscribe to our channel, please. How does a man in your position date out in Chicago? Right? now you're getting famous. You're already rich as like, how do you like meet the right woman nowadays? You know what I mean? You've been married,
bro. I don't even think of myself as I've ever been being married, to be honest with you. And that's no offense to my ex-wife. It was just
I don't want to laugh. Sorry, man. I'm not trying to laugh.
Well, it's really not, because she's like remarried. I'm friends with her husband. We've co-parented my daughter pretty damn well, and we were literally only married for like a year and a half. like it was so long ago, you know what I mean? So I don't even ever, like, you know, when you're on a date with somebody and like girls like to ask, oh, well, you know, you don't lie. Yeah, I was married before. Okay, well, why did they want to know why you got divorced? I'm like, 20 years ago. I don't know. Like nothing too serious, and then you realize they're trying to find out if you're a cheater or not. So I just go, it wasn't because I cheated. I'll tell you that much, and it really wasn't. But we were just too young. But you know, man, it's interesting, dude. I'm still getting used to it. I'm still getting used to it, Matt. With I keep wanting to call you Mike for some reason. And you look like my. By the way, you look like my friend Chad. Chad, look up his name, Chadwick Struck. He's a casting director in Hollywood. He's from Schaumburg. You guys are like twins. So if I call you Chad on accident, I apologize. It's all bad. I'm getting kind of used to it still, man. People are coming up to me now. It's kind of cool. It used to just be like this area or Chicago, and now it's happened to like the Super Bowl and stuff like that. People taking selfies and stuff. So I'm really enjoying it. But as far as like dating, I mean, I get some interesting DMs. I'll tell you that much.
I was about to say. I mean, because the thing is, like, you know, you keep it a buck. You know, and I respect that. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, sometimes it's gotta be difficult. Honestly, I feel like trying to like date a woman and like really be serious about someone. It's like, are you out here because of this, or are you here for that?
Yeah,
you know. Yeah. So like, and I know you can see through 100%, but it's gotta be so difficult. Like, you know,
especially in the world of social media, man. You see all those guys like posting their Lambos and Ferrari. Everybody's got all this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and it kind of corrupted a lot of the younger girls coming up because they see all that. You know what I mean? Now everybody wants to be with the rich guy out.
Yeah, but see, here's what people don't understand. And it happens in Chicago in a few different ways, dude. Okay, you could be a $50,000 millionaire, bro. All right, and you just want to spend money on girls, okay? And I've never like lived my life that way, okay? So you get guys when you're younger, they're buying a girl handbag for $6,000. They have a boat, dude. You don't have to have a lot of money to do those things. You got to be willing to spend money to do those things. So as you graduate into your like 30s and 40s, and this guy made a name for himself buying bottles of the clubs and stuff, and you think he's a baller, and that's fine, but that money might not be very long. Just so you know,
it's on credit card debt.
Well, yeah, or credit card debt, or just you know, maybe he's making, you know, 160 grand or something, and he rents a place that's not that nice and has extra money to do this. Who whatever the it is, okay. So like, the gold diggers to me are the ones that are attracted to those guys, and I've never been one of those guys. I've never been, and it's probably, quite honestly, it's probably cost me opportunities. Like I look back at, like, I used to go to the underground in River North.
Oh, yeah. I know underground.
People are like spending $3,000 at their table. I'm like, oh, I'll stand at the bar. Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And I know for a fact those guys are making like $120 a year, and I'm making like $2 million, and I'm at the bar ordering drink. It just never enticed me, and I think part of that also with the nightclubs at least is because I was a promoter, so I was so used to making money by being at the nightclubs. I never really wrapped my head around the idea of spending a lot of money. I do now. Like if I go to Vegas or something, I might get a bottle at a club or something like that. But like for the most part, not so much. So I really don't think I'm going to attract those girls. And if I do, it's going to be the long road for them, dude. like, hey, yeah, if you're here for the money, okay, but you're not going to see much of it until we get somewhere in this relationship. You know what I mean? We'll go on nice dates and do nice things. I'm a big vacation guy. I like going on vacations. Right. But as far as the gifts, or some guys are giving girls money, like it's like an allowance. I will never do it.
I don't understand that, dude. It's like, what I teach their own, bro.
Yeah.
That ain't me, dog.
Well, I had a buddy in the city that did this, and he was I won't say his name, but he a cigarette boat on Lake Michigan. He had a bunch of money. He had his own money, but he came from money too. And he'd give this girl money every month, and she was hot. And I go, how does this even come to be, though? Did she ask for it? And he's like, no, dude. Like I made her quit her job, so she's available to go on vacation.
How much money?
Oh, I don't know. Probably a few grand a month or something like that. But he paid for all her too. So like, you know what I mean? But the idea of she quit her job, so she was available to travel with him, whatever. So I guess maybe that does make sense a little bit if you're going to have someone quit their job.
Yeah.
But
just to give them money, Yeah. I mean, it's like, wasn't that called prostitution?
Dude, exactly. I feel like just once that kind of transaction enters the formula, it just kind of makes everything kind of feel a little bit dirty. You know what I mean? I had a girl. I dated the girl that was on Below Deck with me, actually. And, as I look back, she was traveling with me all the time. I was never really giving her money, but I was paying for everything when we went out and stuff. But she basically went from working full-time to part-time because she was with me all the time. And it came up like subtly a couple of times. Like she's like kind on rent for like 2 months. She goes, because this is your fault, she said under her breath. I go, how's that my fault? And now looking back, now that we've been broken up, I go, I kind of did her over a little bit. I probably should have been more aware of the situation. Right. So if you're watching right now, if you're watching Natalia, I'm sorry.
One thing about you that it fascinates me is you are not the guy like pulling up in the Lambo, like throwing hundreds with the Criston. Like, people just go overboard with that. A lot of people don't even have the money. They just want to show the clout. Yeah. You're not like that. You know what I mean? Like you don't go overboard with all that. You know what I mean? That was always intriguing me because there's so many people that want to rent the Lambo and take pictures with it and do all that. You know what I mean? And they don't even have the means. You have the means to do whatever the you want. Yeah. And you're not like that. You know what I mean? Which is very, teach your own. But
I think the only things that I'm flamboyant with my money is where I live. Like I spend money on residency and also hotels and vacations. But things like cars, throwing money at the club, I never did that. I feel like I made a funny reel about this once. I go, once you get into that game of throwing money around at the club to pick up girls, I've just now decided that, hey, I'm a football player and I'm going to go play soccer or something over here. Why do I want to be in that game? Why do I want to be in that competition? I got a good going on for me over here, dude. I'd like to think I'm funny. I'm tall. I have a sense of humor. You know what I mean? Like, so why do I want to get into that game where it just becomes anyone can buy bottles at a club? All right. Now we're competing there. Everything else doesn't matter. And I guess that's probably why a lot of people gravitate towards it too, man. But I always laugh about one of the things that have saved me the most money in my life is I'm claustrophobic, so I don't like getting on private jets. That's a big savings right there. and I'm 6'5", so I don't fit into Lamborghinis or Ferraris. The first time I got into a Lamborghini, dude, I got in and they closed the door and the top was up and I like started panicking. I opened the fucking door and I couldn't figure out how to open the door immediately. I like seriously like started panicking. So that saved me a few $100,000 right there. No, it was actually in 2008 when I started making like money and with a few years into my business, and I was like, all right, I should graduate now and get a nice car, and it was in Chicago, so like get a Ferrari and stuff and test drive this. And I'm like, you know what, dude? I'm a little too big for it. It works, but I should feel comfortable if I'm spending this kind of money on a car.
Right.
So I start looking around other cars, start looking at like Aston Martins, other Maseratis back then were not mass produced yet. There wasn't like a Woodfield Maserati dealer like there is freaking now. You didn't see them at all in Chicago.
Only in LA.
Yeah, exactly. So I ended up finding a Maserati down in Dallas that got shipped up here and fit into the thing fine. It was a Grand Sport. It was a dope little freaking car. And what was funny about it though was it was like, I think I bought it 2 years old for like $80,000 versus a Ferrari is like $250. But nobody knows the difference. So I'm like, there's a savings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So anyway, I think I dodged a bullet. And now that I'm at a point where I could like, buy any car. A friend of mine has a Rolls Royce. I fit in a Rolls Royce just fine. I think it's a nice car. You know what I mean? A buddy of mine has a McLaren. I don't fit in it. I think it's a nice car. The thing is, I'm not a car guy where I want either of them. You know what I mean? Yeah. Maybe one day a Bentley or a Rolls Royce, but I'm fine with my Escalade, bro.
When you make a ton of money and you have income coming in, a good revenue stream always coming in monthly, you have the freedom to do whatever you want. You know what I mean? Like, not everybody's going to go to insurance and go the route you did. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't know about that. I don't know shit about insurance. You know what I mean? I went the film and television route. You know what I mean? Even that, there's a cap on that. There's producers over you that kind of, you know what I mean? You can only get to a certain point unless you start producing your own your own film.
Yep.
But you symbolize freedom. You know what I mean? You live in your own video game, basically. You can do whatever the you want for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
I'm going to start a podcast. You know what? I want to go viral. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, what is your advice to people that, have regular jobs and don't know about starting their own business? Like, how can they, not everybody has the knowledge that you know, you know what I mean? But if say somebody wants to start a business and they want to be financially free like that, what, besides learning how to sell and being a man of your word, because I think being your man of your word and keeping it real is so important in all aspects of life. You know what I mean? But
I think the biggest thing I could always suggest to people is it depends where they're at in their life too, from an age standpoint. But get a job in an industry that's actually going to teach you something, but also in an industry that has money in it. You know what I mean? If you get into the wrong kind of industry or one that doesn't like really allow for entrepreneurs, like let's say for instance, you worked at Apple and you learned how to make computers. Like, okay, well, you know how much capital you would need to compete in that space? Or if you worked for Ford and wanted to make cars, it's not an easy pivot to turn around and duplicate that kind of company based on what you learned there. You know what I mean? But there's other industries that really are, dude. Like, so insurance is easy, man. A lot of it's just brokerage and consulting. I worked for Arthur J. Gallagher as a $1 billion company. We didn't have a product. The product was us. The employees were the product. And that's the same for like Accenture, these accounting firms like Deloitte and Price Waterhouse, all these kinds of companies. Go to companies like that, get a good job there and learn, and then pivot out and start your own deal. Now, you got to be careful though, because sometimes you work with clients at these organizations that are going to demand you have, if you're working with United Airlines and you want to be an accountant and you work at Price Waterhouse and you go start, Madden Ross's accounting firm, United Airlines probably isn't going to follow you over there. You know what I mean? Because it's such a big organization. So I think I was very fortunate that I got into the insurance space and dealt with that middle market corporation, that middle market client, which allowed me to still be able to access them when I went on my own. A lot of people said you'd never be able to get those kinds of clients in that middle market. You're going to have to go downstream to, like, instead of corporations, get them like the nail salon or, the bar or the restaurant that has 4 employees. Like, that's who your clients are going to be. There's no money in that. It's all paper pushing. And a lot of people that are independent in insurance have to settle for that because that's the only client they could get. I go, no, that. I learned how to sell in this middle market under Arthur J. Gallagher, and I'm the one doing everything there anyway. I'm the product. Working for Gallagher is just the name on the card. I'm the one doing everything. So why can't I go do this on my own? And the tricky part of that was I knew I could do it. Now I got to convince prospective clients to come with me and believe in me too. So that was a big piece for me. And as I look back, and this is one of the things I talk about a lot on social media, as I look back, I did so many things right, man. All right. I was very humble. I didn't go around saying, look at me, I own this company. It's John Cerasani Insurance. Come work with me. I'm John Cerasani, the president. And all these business owners want to do that so bad. They want to flex. I own a company. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm big time. Well, really, you're small time. Prospective clients are going to think your company is small time because your name is on the frickin' door. And especially if you're younger, which I was at the time, who owns the company? Me? How many offices do you have? One. How many coworkers do you have? 0. All questions you don't want to have to ask. You know what I mean? So you want to you want to make the conversation about the deliverable to the client. And when you could focus on that deliverable to the client and not make it about how many offices you have or how many years you've been in business, you're a step ahead.
It's nice that you touched on that. And I have to ask you, because everyone we have on the podcast, UFC champions, Top Chef winners, guys that want to make it in the mafia, whatever the case may be, right?
Right.
And especially nowadays with social media, it's a love and hate thing, right? There's so much negativity that people can grasp, right?
Yep.
And there's so many times people are just doubting themselves, right? And you push through that. And it's always nice to know someone like yourself, successful, right?
Right.
How do you, obviously you do get negative mindset, right? Sometimes, right?
Yep.
How do you change that mindset to push forward? Because people need to hear that stuff. You know what I'm saying? They really need to know, okay, oh, they see you, you got the waterfall in the house, and this, whatever. But you did have to push yourself.
Oh, yeah. So I think a big piece for me is staying organized, man. I wake up each day and I have a list. I'm the type that doesn't like to use the Outlook calendar or the Google calendar. I actually write it down on a piece of paper. I waste a lot of trees because every day I have a new piece of paper I write down. And throughout the day, I check off what I want to do. And that's even true today when I don't even work. It's okay, what do I want to do today? Okay, well, go and the Nike store and get a new pair of shoes. I'll write that down. Okay, this is that time slot. You know what I mean? So I think having mini goals throughout the day kind of helps you or kind of keeps you on track. But bigger picture to what you were asking is, people don't really realize how hard it is to make money, dude. It's tough. People I had my company. I was making a few million a year. And my net worth, though, besides the company, forget the company, just in the bank, to accumulate $1 million in the bank is a lot, dude. You know how many things have to go your way to get there, dude? And a lot of people are sitting there, working their W-2 job, and they're married now in the suburbs. And, between the two of them, they're making, 180 grand or something. And they kept the condo that they owned in Bucktown because, now they got married and moved to the city and they rent that out. Well, dude, that's fine, man. But you're not going to get rich off that. Set yourself really expectations. You know what I mean? That condo is worth $300 now. Okay, great. It's going to be worth $400 in 10 years. You know what I mean? You're not going to get rich. You know what I mean? So you got to really put yourself in a position where you have a plan to get rich. And unfortunately, people don't see it that way. Instead of changing their routine, okay, I'm a W-2 employee and I have this rental property. Okay. That's my routine. Okay, my goal is to get rich. Okay, I just told you ain't going to get rich from that. All right, so instead of changing this, they change this goal. All right? And that's unfortunate.
A big thing in all aspects of business and life in general, at least for Ross and I, it's people that keeping our word and surrounding yourself with people that are like-minded. You know what I mean? For us, it's look somebody in the face when you meet them, shake their hand, you know what I mean? Give them that respect. And always, anything I've ever been involved with, when we started this podcast, anything we get involved with, I always go balls to the wall knowing, we're going to win. You know what I mean? I'm not taking another loss.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We do. I was already working as stuntman and an actor in entertainment. Ross has had a bunch of business and stuff like that, but we were this. We're going to do this.
Yeah.
And we're going to make it work. And no matter what, and if we brought anybody else on or whatever, we're not losing. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a what it takes. You know what I mean? So how do you find your network and surround yourself go ahead and give them the quote real quick.
I say it all the time. Champions surround themselves with champions.
Dude,
Right.
You want loser results, you hang out with losers. You want to hang out with champions, you hang out with champions.
That's huge.
How do you find people that are on your tier?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, not everybody's going to be as successful as you, but
Right.
just people that keep their word, work hard, and are honest.
Yeah.
And loyal. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what, man? It's a funny thing, bro. Between 2018 and 2020, I started kind of peeling some people out of my life that were in that inner circle that like literally don't bring any value, and people I've been friends with for 30 years. You know what I mean? I was like, dude, it's like this is not. It's not a good look for me and who I'm trying to be. There's bad things associated with me. Every time me and this guy hang out, this happens, you know, and we're up till 7 days. I'm just kidding. But no, I literally started peeling some people out for that reason, and then the next phase for me turned into like, okay, you know who do I want to be? And unfortunately, Chicago kind of felt a little bit saturated for me. I felt like I met everybody I could meet in Chicago at this point, or everyone I cared to. And I'm sure there's circles, like you get in the political circles in Chicago. I never knew any of those people, but I knew some people in media. I knew heavy hitters and, you know, different industries. And, you know, I've already built those relationships. And, okay, you know, what's next for me? And that's a big reason I started going out to California. All right. And I got in circles in Los Angeles and Orange County that have really changed things. Now part of it's because everything is new, right? It's like you go anywhere and everything's new and, oh, this is cool. But I've put myself in rooms with people now that, this guy owns a sports team. Oh, I'm sorry. What's your last name? What does your family do? Oh, they own Kettle One. Okay, like literally, what's happening in Chicago? I'm the VP of a bank. You know what I mean? Like, right. I'm just kidding. But like,
step the game up.
Yeah, I mean, I just think part of it is being in a new atmosphere. Okay, but the other part of it is also that there's a of money out in California that just doesn't exist in Chicago. So me being a person that maybe if I stay just here in my bubble, I'm a big fish. There's other big fish too, but I'm one of the bigger fish in this pond. And there's other ones that are bigger than me and equal to me, but I'm still one of the bigger fish in this pond, right? You go out to California and maybe you're not so big out there. You know what I mean? Or that small percentage of people that you are with are you know, sky's the limit above you. And also just different interests have been brought to the table too, which I found really fascinating. And you might understand this a little bit doing the Hollywood stuff, but there's this whole segment of celebrities, all right, that whether they're pro athletes or whether they're actors, that like are just as interested in hanging out with successful business people as we are interested in hanging out with them. They think it's just as cool. You know what I mean? Now, I always say the ones I meet, I'm meeting them because of that very reason, because they want to be in the room with people like me. I'm sure there's another 90% of football players that I'll never meet that are doing something different and couldn't give a what I say. You know what I mean? But you'd be shocked, man. You'd be shocked. I was just with Mike Vick of all people, dude. He was in trouble when he played in the NFL, and he's out there doing venture capital deals, and we met each other twice now. You know, we were at a party in Beverly Hills together. Then I saw him again last weekend at some just random shit. I was like, hey, remember, how did that deal end up going? You know what I mean? You know, and there's bigger celebrities than Mike Vick, but I'm just giving that as an example. You know what I mean? Absolutely. So I think for me, man, it's just been kind of a cool thing, and it's really what you place value on too, right? You know,
yeah.
Like, you know, other people bring different capital to the table.
For sure.
You know what I mean? I doubt the guy from Cypress Hill that I just interviewed on my podcast has more money than me. I'm pretty sure he does not.
Right.
He might, but I'm pretty sure he wouldn't.
Right.
And I'll tell you right now, I thought that was pretty cool. Being in that room with him, I learned a lot, and I was hanging on every word he said.
For sure.
Right? You know what I mean? So there's different kind of capital you bring to the table too,
Absolutely.
I think.
Absolutely. You know, one thing I learned a little later in life, you know, the past few years, your network is essentially your net worth in a sense. You know what I mean? I grew up thinking like if I just work my ass off, I'll just get all my goals done, and I'll kill it, blah, blah, blah. And I was around like a lot of prominent, important people, but I didn't maintain that relationship. You know what I mean? I was just like, oh, f it. They just gave me so-and-so celebrity just gave me his number just because he's being nice or whatever. And I didn't take advantage of that. And that kind of haunts me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't until I got older, I was like, dude, people told me, they're like, Matt, this guy's giving you his number and wants to hang out with you, not because of he's feeling bad for you. It's because he likes you, obviously. You got to network and do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How important is networking in your opinion?
Well, dude, that's awkward too, man. So you guys know who Jason Kelsey is? Mm-hmm. The football player just retired, and he's a big star. It's a hot item right now, right? And we ended up making buddies. We're playing blackjack with each other, and afterward we're talking. I kind of told him what I did, and he said, I'm announcing my retirement in a few weeks. We should talk after we exchange numbers. So we're in each other's phone, and it's like, 2 weeks later, I had something I wanted to talk to him about, but I'm like, do I call him? I don't know. Am I going to be bothering him? You know what I mean?
100%. Say that again real quick, because that runs through people's minds all the time.
Seriously.
Is this the right time? Am I bothering? Everybody has that same mentality.
Dude, and Kelsey, too. I'm such a idiot, too. So instead, I tag him in something on Instagram, and then I texted, and that made me think about something I wanted to talk to him about anyway, and there was like 8 people tagged, and I go, hey, man, good talking to you, blah, blah, blah. Remember me? I'm from, just tagged you in something. And we had a thread first. This wasn't the first time I texted him, but it had been a couple of weeks. So I tag him, and I go, hey, just tagged you in something on Instagram. I don't know if you run your own Instagram, but check that out. Also, do you want to blah, blah, blah. And then I'm late, and I'm going to reply back, all right? And I go look at Instagram, and he's all over the Instagram, all over the news that he announced his retirement that day. I didn't realize that I sent that text into that tag before this, okay? And then I go look at his account, and he's only following like 4 people. And I basically just asked him to follow me back on Instagram. He's only following 4. So I'm going back on my phone, and now I sent another one. Hey, didn't see your retirement. Oh, also saw you only following 4 people. Just ignore the last 2 messages. So this guy's probably got thousands of text messages, and then he probably has me on the phone as John Cerasani Blackjack or something like that. What a weird. I'm trying to unsend. But anyway, I'm just saying it's natural to go through your head. I think dude, I was just in the flag football thing with Aaron Rodgers, and you got celebrities all around there, like Josh, all these other people are around, and Joe Rogan was the same. I'll make the same comparison here. Aaron Rodgers walks in, it's a little bit different. Even the celebrities are like, "Ooh," you know what I mean? Yeah. And I was just at this party in Austin, Texas, that Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura were holding, and all these famous comedians are there: Shane Gillis, Bert, Tom, and a few others, some guys from Barstool. And they're all big time guys, dude. Joe Rogan walks in. It was different. They're all hanging on every word he says, dude. And it was just that same way with Aaron with the others. That guy, when the king's talking. Right. You know what I mean?
Now, is he super cool?
So I had Joe or Aaron?
Well, both.
Yeah. Right. Well, Joe was definitely like. So before he got to that party, Bert Kreischer comes up to me and goes, whatever you do, let me introduce you to Joe. I guess Joe's a tough guy to just meet. You know what I mean? So when I got to meet Joe, Bert introduced me. So I had a hugely warm welcome, and Joe loves Bert. So, we talked for like a couple minutes, and it wasn't like a 1,000-person party. There was like maybe 60 people there. So we were kind of like all in the same area and stuff. But it's very nice to me, shook my hand, cheers me and stuff. But yeah, man, I was just sitting there witnessing him talk though. And those guys are all hanging on every word. And I'm not big in the stand-up comedy scene or whatever, but I've told this story to a couple other people, and they've told me why. Joe Rogan, I guess, has launched a lot of their careers, and he has the platform to do that. It's just kind of a respect thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But where I'm going with it is, even those celebrities that were anxiety to text, they feel that same way about someone above them. You know what I mean? Which is kind of, so I think it's natural.
Yeah. It really humanizes not only yourself but others. You know what I mean? Because everybody has those thoughts.
Yeah.
Here's I'm going to talk about you for a second. Mm-hmm. Here's a guy that can do whatever he wants for the rest of his life. Now you're a celebrity. You know what I mean? And when you show vulnerability by saying, yeah, like I had a little bit of anxiety hitting this guy up or whatever, this celebrity so-and-so, you know what I mean? It really correlates to other people's thoughts at home, because everybody has that. Other people could be in that same situation, and it kind of is an easing. It's easing to others to hear that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I'm really glad that you brought that up. But as far as like your network, how do you decipher who you bring in and who you pick out, and how does that go? Because you have even more people hitting you up all the time now.
Yeah,
famous, right?
For sure, I do. But I think I want to say one more thing about what you just said with the celebrity thing, because I just have a funny example. So, do you guys know who Jeremy Roenick is?
Oh yeah.
You guys are both Chicago guys. Duh.
Hockey player, brother.
Yeah, but everybody like nationally should know who he is too. Jeremy Roenick's big time, and he was, So he was on my podcast like last summer, and my social media wasn't quite anywhere close to where it is now. It was there though. It's enough for him to agree to be on it, but you know what I mean. We'd text together. Well, he has this alcohol he put out there. It's called Whiskey in the Wild. And I'm having an event in Chicago in May. And I'm like, yeah, it'd be kind of cool if he comes and speaks and brings this thing as an entrepreneur, has his whiskey there or whatever. Do I text him and ask him? And I'm like, I know him a little bit, so that's okay. I'm fine sending him that text. He declined, but then he sends like a nice like paragraph talking about like how he follows me on social media and how my cracks him up and all this. And it just got me like thinking to myself, 6 months ago, that conversation with him would have looked a little bit different. He would have still been cordial and polite and stuff, but like it was almost like I had like recognition from like a fellow celebrity almost. And I don't think of myself that way. And it's literally because of Instagram. You know what I mean? Literally because of Instagram. And I think when these celebrities start seeing other celebrities paying attention to your, that's where it like really starts to grow. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I don't know exactly why I wanted to tell that story. You said something that made me want to tell that story. But yeah. How do I keep people out of my network?
Or how do you gauge who you allow in your network? You know what I mean? How do you build your network? You know what I mean?
Well, I feel like right now, as far as I almost kind of feel like I'm kind of like I'm getting in the doors of really anywhere I want now. You know what I mean? I'm meeting different people I want to meet, and they're able to take my calls. I gotta be careful, bro, because I don't want to come across like the podcast host that's asking everybody to be on their podcast, which sometimes I feel like I'm doing, and then you find out people are fine with being on your podcast. Yeah. But it's like, did you get Dana White to be on your podcast? Dude, I met him once. I'm not gonna like, do you want to be on my podcast? In like the first 3 minutes, people said that about Joe Rogan too. I'm not asking them to be on my podcast.
It's like a douchebag thing to do.
Well, and I don't want them to like put me in that category.
I think that you're just out there to go at him like, hey, I want you for this. So I just want to see out, bro. Like, let's chop it up.
Exactly, dude. And I'll give you another example like that. So Bert Kreischer was having this big show in Chicago, and he had told me when we were in Vegas that if I want to come, he's got me set up and backstage and all this other kind of shit. And well, it's getting a little closer to it. It's coming up April 4th. And I'm like, all right, do I text him to remind him that he said this? Because I don't want him to I don't want him to think like I'm using that, like that I'm trying to get free tickets out of this relationship. You know what I mean? But he did say it, and I wanted to be backstage, so I sent him the text, and it was totally acceptable and stuff. But you still have that anxiety because you don't want to come across that way. You know what I mean? And I think, I'm able to do that because I've hung out with him a few times, and he did say it, and it was an offer. But if every time we talked, I was asking him for something new, that'd be kind of up.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you kind of figure that out with people that hang around you, dude. It's like, okay, they're around. Okay, dude, every time this is here, he is trying to pull whoever the single chicks are off to his car to do blow in the car. Every time you're here, you do this, dude. Every time. You don't get to come anymore, dude. You know what I mean? People like use you for different things,
right? And
it's like you figure it out after. Happens the first time, okay, I'm paying attention. Happens the second or third time, okay, dude, you're not on the list anymore, bro. Right. And unfortunately, people aren't self-aware enough to even understand.
Correct.
Yeah.
Real quick, it's funny though that you're sitting here right now. Not funny, but so we had like a mutual friend through like my buddy Fam, whatever. From I know him. He's like, hey, bro, like doing the podcast. You have a buddy that he's friends with that does like all the athlete stuff or whatever. I don't know, signatures, whatever. Mm-hmm. He's like, you got to get John Cerasani on there.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, blah, blah. And then like, I never even reach out to him or whatever. And now we're sitting here.
Yeah,
so
that's
I'm
funny.
saying it's a blessing, and thank you. You know,
Thanks,
obviously,
man.
you know,
Yeah.
it's awesome. You know what I'm saying? Like, it came full circle, but it's totally cool, and it's awesome that you're on the show. You know what I'm saying? And also, thank you for coming on, because obviously you're super busy. But it's funny how he says it, and all of a sudden, it's crazy how the world works.
Yeah,
you know
and it
what I'm
comes
saying?
around.
All of a sudden,
To your exact point, actually, it's like he follows me on Instagram. Okay, he has this sports memorabilia and does these autograph shows, and he gets these guys that I like look up to as a little kid showing up, like William the Refrigerator Perry, Willie Galt, you know, all these people, Marcus Allen. Like, he's in the room with all these guys. And he goes, hey, man, you know, we don't really have a budget for it, but would you want to, like, host this freaking autograph show we're doing in Schaumburg at the Schaumburg Convention Center? You're always talking about Schaumburg. Random Instagram message, dude. He just knows it. You know, now I'm doing that, and now I'm getting mad street credit because I'm taking pictures with all these guys. That, you know what I mean? And then me and Joe end up hitting off the relationship. You know, it's a little bit of quid pro quo. He's putting me in the rooms with these guys. I'm shouting them out on Instagram a little bit, but that ain't enough if you don't genuinely like the person.
Correct.
You know,
Yeah.
we like each, like if I thought he was a asshole or I was an asshole, dude, then I ain't driving to Milwaukee to hang out with you for 2 hours because of like you might introduce me to you know, Mike Singletary or something, and you know, it's just not going to happen. And that's really kind of snowballed the right direction. Actually, I give him credit. He I met Hulk Hogan through him. I met Charlie Sheen through him, and I met Chevy Chase through him. I mean, you're talking about the biggest stars in the world.
you're all
man.
over too.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, you're talking about the biggest stars in the
Hell yeah,
world,
dude.
Like, I mean,
Absolutely,
that's
bro.
pretty cool.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's cool.
Do you consider yourself a professional networker now? Or is that just something you're always just a personable guy?
Yeah.
Or let me put it this way. Do you feel like the internet fame has helped you with your networking abilities, or were you always just a social person, but you were a networker in the corporate world as well, and you just elevated to the celebrity world?
No, I think I was always a good networker, man. I was always like, you know, there's a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I recommend anyone should read that. And, you know, I read it in my mid-20s, and best book I ever read, how to deal with people, how to recognize things, how to carry yourself. And I think I had that naturally, but there was definitely some things from that book that to this day I'll still refer to every once in a while. I think that combined with so Lou Holtz, the football coach at Notre Dame, comes to my parents' house when I was a senior in high school to offer me the scholarship. Okay, and he tells this story. He goes, you know, before I was a Notre Dame coach, you know, I knew I was kind of funny, but after I got the Notre Dame job, I'm like a comedian. I'm like Johnny Carson up here. Everyone's laughing so hard at all my jokes. I'm like, I knew I was funny, but not this funny. Holy cow! And it always kind of stuck with me because the way Holtz told that story was just, you know, kind of hilarious, right? And I think the fame part has helped the networking part. Not because like everyone's laughing at jokes, but like they're more welcoming to your presence. Right. Even the text I just talked about with Jeremy Roenick, you know what I mean? Had this warm reply, and that happens like physically with people if they recognize who you are and you have a little bit of notoriety in that way. I have definitely noticed that change in the last 6 months for sure.
Absolutely. A man that has everything, right? Mm-hmm. You could do anything you want. Maybe you don't have everything, but you could do anything you want, right? Yeah. What is there in life that you want still? What, you know what I mean? Like, what do you want out of life at this point? You're like, I mean, you're getting, you know, your celebrity, your star power is rising. You know what I mean? You've lived so many different lives in your you know, in your lifetime. What more do you want out of life? You can do whatever the you want, right? Like, what do you want out of life at this point? You know, the things that are important to me right now. I got my 15-year-old son lives with me. His mom's side of the family is great and stuff, but there were circumstances that changed where he needed to come live with me when he was 10 years old, and it was like a curveball thrown. I was like, holy! I was living down at the Trump Tower, millionaire, doing whatever the I wanted. Now I got a fourth grader living with me. What the? No, it was my idea, and his mom's side of the family. Everyone was in agreement that it was a good idea for him to come live with me. But it was a big change, man. It was a big change for him. It's a big change for me. My daughter was from a previous relationship. She was 5 years older than him. So they're both only children, but they're half siblings through me. And you know, man, I decided, this is in 2018. I decided, you know what, bro.
I'm going to take both these kids and move out to the suburbs. My dad was still alive at the time. Moved. He lived in Schaumburg, the house I grew up in. Moved a couple town over, a little more affluent area called Inverness, and bought this house for these two kids, and they'd only visited each other on spring breaks and Christmases and long weekends their whole lives, and now they're siblings in the same house, and it's me there with them, and my dad, unfortunately, we did that to be closer to my dad. Unfortunately, we moved out there July 6th, and my dad suddenly passes away. Crazy dude. November 18th. So I don't really regret moving out there because those months we saw him a lot more than we would have otherwise. But now we're out there by ourselves. I got my brother, and he's in Elk Grove, and it's fine. But him and his wife and their kids, they got their own thing. And we get together for holidays and every once in a while and stuff. But it's just me and the kids. Right. You know what I mean? I'm single, dude. It's this mansion in Inverness, and it's 8.6 acres, and it's me and two kids, you know what I mean? And it was kind of cool, man, because I never really experienced that, you know what I mean? Me and my son lived with his mom up until he was 10. My daughter, me and her mom got divorced when she was like 1.5, you know what I mean? So it wasn't like, you know what I mean? So I got to be a full-time dad, and that changed me. That combined with losing my parents, I mean, anyway, that's a long way to tell you the answer is my kids are my priority, man. That's my biggest That's my biggest thing, by far. And I've thought about if something comes across my desk or my email or whatever that I could be passionate about and make that my thing along with it, I'll certainly do so. Mm-hmm. But I'm kind of doing it right now, man. Like, you answer the question, like what I don't have that I want. Like, if you would have told me a year ago to make an impact in other people's lives, and now I'm doing that, you know what I mean? So I'm doing that right now. So to make that even bigger, the last 2 years of my life, man, actually maybe last 3 years, because I was a little bit lost. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I have a playlist I listen to every morning. She actually makes fun of me because I listen to the playlist every day. The first song on the playlist is Michael Jackson's "Man in the Mirror." All right, and if you actually listen to that song, all right, do something bigger than you. All right, and we could all do that like in our own way. And dude, just from the DMs I get, man, I feel like I'm doing that.
Fair enough.
Awesome.
At the end of the day, nobody's getting out of here alive. Ultimately, we all have the same destination one day. You know what I mean? Nobody's making off this earth alive. I think you kind of answered it right just now. But what do you ultimately want your legacy to be? What is decades upon decades? When we're all gone, what do you want the legacy of John Cerasani to be? What do you want to live on forever through you?
Dude, you know what, man? That's something everyone should really think about, man. And I feel like I'm hoping I'm kind of doing that with the legacy of motivating people. I don't think anyone was using the term a W-tour. You're a W-tour. People are saying that now. No one was saying that, dude. And right. Calling people in the regular part of the casino general population. I certainly didn't invent that, but I'm hearing more and more people say Gen Pop now about casinos. I don't know. Maybe I'm imagining it. So I think I am influencing people like in my own way, and man. But have you guys lost a parent?
I have.
Yeah, okay. Changes you, man. Because you realize there's a beginning and an end of life. You know what I mean? And then you realize that life continues. They're just not there anymore. And they're not really even a part of it anymore. You know what I mean? So other than you as their kids thinking about them still, is anyone else? Because life moves on. It keeps going. So I think the idea of having generations in the future remembering you at all is a win. You know what I mean? So we'll see, man. We'll see. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. When I jumped into this stuff, there was never really a plan with it. But I guess my hope, to answer your question, would be, here's a guy that encouraged people and motivated people to set their own standard and not be limited to what society maybe told them they could do.
Yeah.
You couldn't have said anybody, brother.
And I just want to point this out to people. A lot of people will see one video of you and not really get the full feel of who John Cerasani is. Yeah. But John does a lot of for a lot of people. You know what I mean? Like we really admire the fact that what you do for law enforcement. You know what I mean? You speak up for a lot of good causes, and you're cool. You know what I mean? I hit him up in the DMs, and John took time out of his schedule to come here and kick it with us, not knowing about us. You know what I mean? We on the phone, but you know what I mean? Like people will see a video and think of you a certain way, but there's many layers to John. You know what I mean? And I think ultimately, like you said, your legacy is you are helping a lot of people. You know what I mean? At least getting them to think. You know what I mean? There's more to life than what they're taught or what they're brought up to believe, right?
Yeah, man. And I love that you brought up the about law enforcement too. That's kind of a funny. Do you mind if I tell that story real quick?
Go for it.
It's kind of a funny. Thing, just like with social media in general, it's just like I put a reel out there. I used to be, and people still laugh. I still am kind of defensive and sensitive, but I used to like respond to every comment. like if someone said anything, I'd want to correct them. It's like, dude, everyone doesn't have to hear every response. It's like posting like 8 times a day. And well, look what this guy said. And anyway, so I put a reel up there because somebody said something like, "Quit shitting on W-2 employees, man. You're on people," and I wanted to correct them and say, listen, I'm not on W-2 employees, okay? If you, this is for like business to business salespeople. I want you to see that you could be an entrepreneur and do other things. Hey, if you're a cop, God bless you, this page ain't for you. You're a teacher, God bless you, this page ain't for you. And this was early, and it was that real that I realized I have really something good going on here, because my DMs got flooded with cops. And to paraphrase the sentiment of pretty much every DM, hey, you, we want to follow your page. We got side hustles. We're going to retire early. Or, hey, I think you're hilarious and everyone at the station watches you. All right? So I do this other reel coming out after that. I go, I'm sorry. I didn't know, guys. I take back everything I said in this reel. And by the way, I had like 60,000 followers at this time. It was not big. And of those 60,000, probably, who knows, 10,000 were probably bots. So people were like engaged like they are now. You know what I mean? And so that kind of caught me. People are paying attention to what the I'm saying, dude. You know what I mean? So then I go and said, okay, you know what? I know cops like steaks. I'm going to go buy steaks. It's just like a fun thing. Just randomly bring it to a different police department. I started with the LA Sheriff's Office, Sheriff's Department. I bring $1,000 of steaks to them. They loved it. It was a big deal. The guy at the LA Sheriff's Department gives me, he goes, you know what this is, man? He gives me, it's called a challenge coin, law enforcement challenge coin. Well, that's kind of cool. I don't really think anything of it. 7 months later, do the same thing to a different police station. Who do I do it for next? I forgot who went after that, but it was someone out here in the suburbs. And they gave me a challenge coin, the same thing. These challenge coins, if you don't know what they are, and you probably don't unless you follow my Instagram, it's a sign of respect that the military and law enforcement give each other, and it's a big deal. Hey, we got you, man. And it's a big deal. It's like it looks like a little, it's kind of a cool little thing, like almost like a casino chip, but like made of metal, and there are cool designs on them with the department's name. And then I started talking about how fortunate I am to get these challenge coins and how it meant a lot to me. I started getting flooded in the mail with challenge coins, dude. Cops all over the country. I probably got like 150 of them in my house right now. I mean, at different departments all over the place. Hey, man, we got your back. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's where the whole, you brought up the law enforcement thing, and that's where that whole thing came from. And I certainly was never anti-cop, but like I think anyone in media or social media, you'll lean into where people are paying attention. You lean into that audience, and that's exactly what I did. And I'm happy to have leaned into it because it's pretty cool. It's pretty
absolutely
cool.
Former police officer, so I apprapprate that.
Yeah, thanks, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, well, I've had some firefighters be like, "What about the fire department?"
Hey, the fireman. I'm the fireman now.
Well, I did the Rosemont fire station, or actually the Rosemont cops are also firefighters.
Correct.
Too. They rotate.
Yeah. I was at the academy with them. They had to, it's not to cut you off.
Yeah.
They have to go to the police academy for 6 months. So I went through Sheriff's Police Academy first, right before the CPD, the Sheriff's Police, and then they immediately go to the fire academy.
Wow.
It's a year of just getting beat up and like talk to like a 2-year-old, but whatever.
Yeah.
So sorry.
So that was pretty cool. Rosemont was cool, but anyway, I'm glad to have done that. And it's funny. I had a guy on my podcast named Brett Barish. he's the dude that started Ace of Spades Champagne, that then eventually Jay-Z bought it from him. And he talks about, on my podcast at least, he talked a lot about how Ace of Spades took the place of Cristal in the hip-hop scene and the nightclubs. And I had said to him, I go, didn't Cristal's like owner or something kind of like blow off like the hip-hop community or something, and that's why Jay-Z wanted to do this with Ace of Spades, kind of did it. And he goes, I wouldn't go as far as saying blow them off, but he didn't lean into them. He had this whole community that was loving his product of Cristal, and he fucking leaned away from it instead into it. Why the fuck would you do that? You know what I mean? So that's something that kind of always stood with me, and I don't think I even meant to do it with the cops, but that's exactly what's happened.
No, it's awesome. Man.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure they very appreciate it. I'm appreciative of it, you know.
Yeah,
so
man. Cool.
It's awesome. It's good for you.
Thanks, bro.
I know they love it, so.
Nice. And I love the Notre Dame pajamas, by the way.
Oh, no. Hey, it's a tracksuit, brother. Okay, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not joking. I said, hey, I'm wearing this because my homeboy's coming from Notre Dame. So I'm wearing the tracksuit, dude.
Love it, dude. Love it.
Absolutely.
All right, John. Well, we could literally talk to you for another 2 hours, but we won't keep you here all day. We know you're busy as but we greatly appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, man.
Honestly, appreciate it, brother.
Awesome. This was great, guys. Thank you.
All right, man. Thank you very much for coming on, bro.
Thank you.